Well, initially I was going to stream this Saturday, but some news story came up regarding the PlayStation 5, and I'd really like to discuss in detail why the PlayStation 5 was just a disappointment compared to all other PlayStation generations. And I could be more constructive this time because I own a PlayStation 5 now. But I struggle to find a use for that console. Most of the times, I just play on my Nintendo Switch or on my PC. So, wait, I don't need to do Grand Prix today. So it's typically the villager, and we won't be using this combo today. Now the first thing I really want to discuss is the fact that scalpers are getting even more bold than like back in 2020 when the console first came out. Now, I have to clarify that scalping is nothing new. The first, Super Famicom was scalped at launch in 1990, like when Super Mario World came out with the console. Like, you can watch the Gaming Historian's video on that too. The PlayStation 2 was also scalped at launch in 2000, but all the scalped consoles had one thing in common. They had dead lasers, which means that all of it had to be returned to the retailers and stuff. And the Nintendo Switch was scalped several times in its life cycle. Because Nintendo failed to like alleviate stock problems like during the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic 2 years ago. Especially with Animal Crossing New Horizons becoming popular, which is the most played game I've played on my Switch, because I found myself using my Switch daily ever since that game came out. And do you want an update on like the Xbox and the GPU prices, as well as OLED Switch consoles? I could just walk into a store and buy a OLED Switch now. And I could just walk into a store and maybe get an Xbox Series X out in the wild. But can I see a PS5 at a store? No, I can't. Because all of them were scalped before anyone can even buy it. And even GPUs are easier to find nowadays. Like, if you want to buy an RTX 3060, which has a lot of VRAM and has a lot of performance, then you can it'll be like you can now find it for as little as $400 or less. Well, not much less, but around $400 is the minimum price now. But PlayStation 5, it's still being scalped and impossible to find in stores. Well, yes, there's still a chip shortage. Like, it's so hard to buy a Raspberry Pi now. It's also equally as hard to buy an EverDrive because of the war in Ukraine and the factory having to be shut down because Vladimir Putin decided that his ex-KGB ego would win people over, but who do I care? Now, I heard many people, they actually given up waiting for a PS5 because not only is it impossible to find in stores, but it was also they decided to switch, but they also didn't have that many games that were exclusive to next gen. So, if you want to know the story of how my cousin was able to score PS5, let's start by discussing the MSRP in Canada, which is 620 Canadian dollars. And when he transported it back from Best Buy to his his living space on the bus, everyone's looking at him. Like, they're like, oh, wow, he got a PS5? Well, imagine if this happened in the US, or the DS, but not the Nintendo handheld. Given the unprecedented crime spike in the name of social justice, people would have been jumped on or slaughtered just to get the damn console, and I imagine that it would be much worse than the PS3 launch shootings back in 2006. Don't trust me? Just go to the Wikipedia page for PlayStation 3, and you'll see that reports of violence have actually erupted when the PS3 launched in the US. So, and this is not just exclusive to North America either. Just a few days ago, a used PlayStation 5 console was stolen from a used game shop in Nagoya. And if you don't know where Nagoya is, it sits about 1 hour east of Osaka and 2 hours west of Tokyo by bullet train. So, and the console was valued at around 90,000 yen, or almost 700 bucks. Oh, 700 US dollars. Oh, that's Isabel. Now, we also gotta talk, on topic of scalping and orders, we also gotta talk about the disastrous pre-order system and the launch. And a disastrous launch system. So the first thing was the PS5 was open for pre-orders back in September 2020, but it sold out within seconds because scalpers knew the hype for that console was extremely high. And not just that, but and then the general public was not able to buy a PS5 console. Now the launch came at an even worse time. Because there was a huge political event that I'm not allowed to discuss here on this channel. I already got community guidelines warning for it. Sony flexed both their corporate and political muscles. Why? No. Well, so for example, in the game Spider-Man Miles Morales, there is a cameo to a group that I'd much rather not talk about openly anymore. But, and when Kotaku wrote their review of the PlayStation 5, yes, I know Kotaku is a shit publication, but when Kotaku wrote their review for the PS5, they literally used that political event to, like, gain more readership, but in the end, more people just lost trust in Kotaku, and we turned to more trusted sources for reviews. Only 1% of people who want a PS5 have one. Like, I didn't want a PS5, but I only got it because of future-proofing. Oh, and if you're wondering, back in November 2020, no COVID-19 vaccine was available to the public yet. It was still under clinical testing. So, every PS5 pre-order or order were scalped, or in extreme cases, they're looted from stores without prosecutions by police, because, you know, social justice. Okay, so, the PS5 actually has a pretty small SSD, because they promised 1 terabyte, but only gave you 825 gigs. But in reality, you only have 667.2 gigabytes to work with. Now, I won't be getting into any, like, conspiracy theories anymore, because of YouTube's tightening grip on the YouTube on creators, but well, it's not as bad on the disc version because you could just insert your games and stuff. On the digital version, it is really bad, honestly. If you're going to expand the storage, though, Sony waited almost a entire year to enable the urgently needed slot. Yes, you can install PS5, PS4 games to an external USB drive, but you can't install PS5 games due to the custom architecture and speeds needed for the next gen games. Oh, and as someone who uses a lot of storage on my computer, like I just ordered a new hard drive for my computer because I have a hard drive that's nearing 4 years of age or something. I can say that I'm pretty outraged by Sony rushing the console out into the market without this crucial feature. Get it? Because Crucial is a maker of SSDs or something, or memory or stuff. Now, before I continue, I would like to address a comment that I actually encountered on my stream when the PS5 SSD slot has been enabled. Now, the commenter thought that I was a Nintendo fanboy, but in reality, I'm not a fanboy of anyone. I'm just really critical of Sony because they just lost their former charm. Like Razorblade Mango said in his stream back in April or something. No, video actually back in April. I also believe that I am being smeared by others on YouTube. Just look up PS5 rant and you'll know that I actually got smeared on YouTube. But I didn't respond to those because if you're trying to smear me, then you could just buzz off from my channel. Alright. Enough about other social media stuff, but we're going to the next race. Now, the disc drive is an absolute must, because people who bought digital PS5s or want digital PS5s through giveaway events have regretted buying it because there's no disc drive, and then Sony can just price gouge you for like games or something, like 69 bucks. Or no, 70 bucks actually. Now, why is it so important that you need a disc drive? Well, you can unlock cheaper routes to get PS5 games. Like for example, I got Lost Judgment on PS5 for only 31 bucks because I bought the PS4 disc. And also, if you already have a PS4 collection, you can just upgrade to PS5. Like, I also upgraded my Final Fantasy VII Remake to the PS5 version for free. That's something I bought full price back in 2020. So the fact that you're paying more than 60 bucks for Final Fantasy VII Remake is somewhat not justifiable or anything. Especially Square Enix has actually embraced NFTs like the plague. And speaking about which, I won't be covering Final Fantasy VII anymore on my channel because too many aspects of that game have become real. And if I go too further in detail about it, then I'm probably going to get my channel terminated by YouTube. In the most extreme case. So, again, why is the disc drive a must? Aside from that, you can actually play your 4K UHD Blu-ray movies, but there are rarely any good movies that come out nowadays because Hollywood's definitely on a hostile regime's paycheck rather than. Whoa, I got first place. That was so close, actually. But and so you can watch, and you can also watch your anime Blu-rays as well as DVDs. Now, it still cannot play CDs unlike the Xbox Series X or PC with a Blu-ray drive, because the CD format, like the Michael Jackson album Thriller, is reaching its 40th anniversary this year. I've already pre-ordered the 40th anniversary expanded edition of Thriller, and also the... Oh, let's see. Why was I given first place? Oh yeah, I did cross the line first. But, I not only ordered the expanded edition CD, but I also ordered the SACD repress or something. So, but with the digital version, as I said, you're locked to the PlayStation Store, which so you can remove games at will. Additionally, like I mentioned last year, it is predicted that when the PS5 is discontinued, it will be a paperweight, because CMOS DRM was discovered around the same time Sony tried to shut down the PlayStation Store on the PS3, and PS Vita. The PSP store was still shut down, though. And also, I haven't really talked about Nintendo shutting down their 3DS and Wii U shops, but it is a huge issue if you want to play games like the legal way. However, those game preservationist groups are the people who you want to go to regarding this matter, because I, in no way, shape, or form, have any current affiliations with them. Now, Sony did not deserve your applause when they removed the CMOS DRM from PlayStation consoles. Now, as for physical size, both of them are equally as gigantic, and now I can confirm this as well, because I went to Ottawa, which is Canada's capital, and I literally had to haul the PlayStation 5 from Ottawa to Toronto, and also across the border too. So my parents actually had trouble packing other stuff as well. Now I'll get into my fifth reason right now of why the PS5 is actually really disappointing. And that is the fact that I struggle to find a use for it, because a lot of the PS5 media streaming apps are also on my smart TV in the basement, such as Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll is where to get stock. Crunchyroll, Hulu, if you still watch Hulu, and Plex. Plex is actually known more for its free TV and movies, but I frequently use Plex because I have a collection of media that I want to stream anytime, anywhere. And as for media apps on the place, and there's not many good exclusive games either. Like, the only exclusive games I know, to my knowledge, are that Neptunia 1 remake for the PlayStation 5, the Demon Souls remake, the Returnal, Deathloop. I can't think of any other games that would be good. But combined with waiting for the consoles and never making a drop, versus having no good exclusive games, means that, and also a wealth of PS4 upgrades, which is actually one good thing if you own the disc version. Means that for many consumers, the PlayStation 5 might be a deal breaker or something. And I do subscribe to a ton of VTubers, and I don't see any of them, or most of them, play on the PlayStation 5. Like, I have trouble connecting my PlayStation 5 to my aging Elgato HD60S, because the HD60S Plus can actually play PS5 games, because it has the required HDCP version. Now, most of the times when I see VTubers play stuff, it's either on Nintendo Switch or PC. Like, just this year, I've seen VTubers play a lot of Switch games, like Nintendo Switch Sports, which I bought and I thought it was okay, honestly. It was pretty mediocre compared to Wii Sports, because in Wii Sports you had like an energetic like announcer or something. But Switch Sports, it sounded kind of dull. There's also Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which was actually a pretty fun game, but also a cautionary tale about if we don't stop pointing fingers and what could possibly happen to humanity if we don't stop pointing fingers and try to find solutions. And we also have the DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which actually popped up this stream, because I was on Coconut Mall quite, so Baby Mario is actually on my tail. And there were other great games that came out too, like Animal Crossing New Horizons, which is a game I still frequently play to this day. And let's not forget the PC market, because not like personal computer games. Like, for example, we have games like old DOS favorites like Doom or other stuff. You could play JRPGs like Trails of Cold Steel, or the definitive version of JRPGs like Cold Steel, because Durante is a god programmer. Okay? Okay, so you have Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, which I'm actually planning to get a new RTX 3060 for Microsoft Flight Simulator, because I want to do like a flight from New York to Anchorage, and then after that a flight from Anchorage to Tokyo via the Airbus A320. Or even some retro games you could play on both the Switch and the PC, but the PC is always going to be better, because you could play Super Mario World, Sonic the Hedgehog, and a lot of other stuff. You could also play ROM hacks too, so and I'll also share a little update regarding my channel while I'm at it. So, actually, the stream was originally planned for June 4th, which was the original date that they were planning to announce the PS5. But, you know, because because humanity is at its lowest point ever, welcome to the 2020s, they had to push it back to June 12th, and he got like 7 million views or something. They peaked at 7 million views for the launch. Now, compared to my deleted stream in November 2021, could you say that I've been a little bit more constructive about why the PS5 as I put it back in November 2021, sucked ass? Well, it doesn't really suck ass, but you just gotta know that the PlayStation 5 itself isn't a bad console. It's just how Sony handled the whole thing it was a public relations disaster. Now, as for the scalping situation, other companies have handled it so much better. Like, for example, Steam Deck has the reservation system, which is actually successful in keeping out scalpers, because you have to pay a deposit, and after the deposit is paid, you can actually get the Steam Deck. Or if you decide you don't want it anymore, you could just refund your deposit. Adafruit is now requiring two-step verification just to buy a Raspberry Pi, because you know Raspberry Pis are impossible to buy. And in Micro Center, if you want to buy a GPU, you can only buy one GPU every 30 days. And you must show your ID as well. As for the Switch OLED, it's actually, it's actually much easier to find. And also the Animal Crossing Limited Edition Switch is so easy to find. You can just walk into any store and buy it. It's like they produce so much because of the pandemic, and then now that countries are finally reopening for tourism, people are starting to forget about Animal Crossing, or the mainstream public. So, that's it for this stream, because I think my hard drive is supposed to be delivered soon, or I have to get some packages for my family members. So, what will I be talking about next stream? I don't know yet, but this is Lucas Notch. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.